Hello and welcome to the show. This week's Will It Roll is all about the oldest cars in Forza 4. I was expecting this to be quite a long and painful and quite tedious week, as these cars are probably going to be very hard to roll. While they may have a higher centre of mass, they're not quite as aerodynamical and all of that sort of things, they have very soft suspension. Incredibly very bouncy soft road suspension, which isn't very helpful when it comes to rolling, as you saw there with the first attempt with this Ford Deluxe Coupe. Yeah, it's not really going to roll. This car was made in 1940. It is the oldest car that there is in Forza. It's the oldest by quite a way as well. But rolling is not going to happen. The suspension is far too soft. I'd hoped that I might have got lucky, as this car is very tall, a high centre of mass and all, that it might topple over, but standard, no chance. Of course, it doesn't help with the lack of speed. This car has 86 horsepower. Yes, that's not a lot of horsepower. And it is not particularly fast. It weighs just under 3,000 pounds. So, yeah, it's not a very quick car, and it's got incredibly soft, wallowy, bouncy suspension. You know, I'm not going to roll it. I don't think you could roll this thing standard, at least not off a curb. Maybe handbrake on the grass possibly would work with this thing. But as far as rolling it standard goes, it is not going to happen. It's too soft a suspension, too slow. Add that all together and it won't work. So it was to the upgrade shop, and I put race tyres on my car. Ignore the change of colour. I forgot what I'd made it the first one, and this is the one I had in my garage. So I was going to kind of drive to the roll corner, and I managed to roll it off the second corner. I don't know how I did that. I'm still confuzzled as to how I managed to do that in this car at those very slow speeds. Yeah, I'm not sure how that worked, but I managed to kind of get it on its side. So it wasn't really going to be very hard to roll this thing off the proper curb. And sure enough, this is on the second attempt. The first attempt I missed the curb because I'm a fool. And there we go. The Ford is on its side. I was surprised. I was very surprised, actually, that with just race tyres it caused this car to roll over. I thought this thing was going to be too slow. But then again, it has got a high centre of mass, as I said, and that's probably what helped this car fall over so easy. So, the first car has been rolled. We move on next to the Chevrolet Corvette from 1953. I believe this is the second oldest car. I hope I've done my research correctly and nobody is shouting at me that I'm an idiot. Yeah, this is another very old car, very old suspension, so it is very soft and bouncy. This is also a little bit more sporty than that of the Ford, so it has a slightly lower centre of mass and not a huge amount faster. It has, 160 horsepower, weighs just under 3,000 pounds again. So, yeah, it's not particularly fast. It only has a 3-speed gearbox as well. It's very weird driving cars. These are old American cars that only have sort of, well, in fact, in the case of the Bel Air, it only has 2-speed gearboxes. You keep going to change down when there's not a gear there. Yeah, I may have broken the engine in it at one point. Don't worry about that. Anyway, to the upgrade shop with the Corvette. Now, I tried just putting the race tyres on it. Interestingly, it did absolutely nothing for this car, which I'm not sure how that works. It confused me. So, yeah, with race tyres, nothing happened on this. So, it was race suspension that I used. Raised and stiffened the suspension and took the race tyres off. And sure enough, on the first attempt, it fell over. I'm very confused as to why the tyres did absolutely nothing on this car. I guess kind of the reason why the Ford fell over so easily was the high centre of mass, whereas this car is lower, is sportier, and by raising the suspension and all that, yeah, that had more of an effect. But there we go, I learned something new. I learned something today. Anyway, next up, we have the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing thingamabob. This is made in 1954. I think that all the cars I've got here are the 4 oldest of the cars. I hope I haven't missed anything out. This is the technically fastest of all of the cars. I believe it is E-Class. Has 241 horsepower. Again, weighs a little bit under 3,000 pounds, but it's not going to roll. It's too soft a suspension. While this is a little bit more of a sporty, I guess, kind of supercar of the time, it's still got very soft suspension. It is fast. Or fast in comparison to everything, but it's not enough speed to kind of overcome that very soft suspension. I do like the Gullwing. I think it is a very cool car. But as far as rolling goes, you're not gonna roll this thing standard. Yeah, suspension is too soft. Much like with all of these cars, really. A while ago we did a muscle car one of these, and again it's very much the same kind of thing with sort of very old suspension on these cars. Yeah, it isn't going to roll. So the upgrade shop with the Mercedes as well. This again, I put suspension on this one, raised and stiffened suspension. First attempt, and I thought we might be in a little bit of trouble. It barely didn't really do anything different to normal, so I had another go. I guess I must have just hit the curb at a slightly wrong angle, because sure enough, next time it fell over. I'm sorry, Mercedes, to do that to you. I think it lost the rear bumper, it did. And then it fell over very, very straightforwardly as well. I was confused at this point at how easily that these cars were kind of rolling over. Like, I had muscle cars, they were a bit more of a pain to get to kind of fall over. And other cars had to have multiple upgrades. Like the Hudson Hornet, for example, had to have multiple upgrades, whereas these were being rolled fairly standardly. Up next, our final car, in fact, is the Porsche 550 Spider, as I go a bit wide. I don't know how I go wide in a F-Class car, where the hell this thing is. Standard. Yeah. This is probably the smallest of the cars, and I was thinking this would probably, out of all of the cars, like before I started this, I was thinking this would probably be the trickiest of them all. It's very small, it's fairly low, so again, fairly low centre of mass. Of course, it's not gonna go roll whatever standard, too soft a suspension. I do manage to have a very big tank slapper and not save it. No, actually, tell a lie. That's what I meant to do. That was completely intentional and all that sort of things. Yes. Yeah, it's an odd car, this one. I thought this would be the trickiest of them, all of them. It actually got kind of closer to rolling than all of the other cars, which confused me as well. There was lots of confusion this week. That's just a normal week for me. Anyway, upgrade shop for the Porsche, and I put on the race tyres for this. I was just experimenting with different kind of combinations of upgrades. I hit on the first attempt. That's very, very close. That's incredibly very close. May have smacked the wall a little bit. Yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. I so thought that was rolling. It was I was on bonnet view or whatever. That looked so close to rolling, but the damn thing didn't go over. But I was fairly confident that it would go over next time, and no, it didn't on the first curb. So I was going to line up for the next shot, but I always try off the second curb, and there we go. It kind of had a bit of a struggle, but it did roll over in the end, and I love watching the exhaust in the background. Yeah, the car has a dancing exhaust. I'm not sure how it... Don't ask. I don't know. So yes, there we go. All of the cars rolled very straightforwardly. It was a very simple... It turned out to be a very simple will it roll, which I am surprised about. None of these cars had any engine upgrades done to them at all. They're all with completely standard engines, just slightly modified suspension or racing tyres, which is... Yeah, I didn't expect that when I went to start kind of filming for this, but I'm kind of glad. It certainly didn't take anywhere near as long as I feared it might do. Anyway, that is it for this week's Will It Roll, so thank you very much for watching. If you have themes or challenges for Will It Roll, then please do let me know in the comments section, and I will have a look through, and our favourites will be in a video at some point. However, until next time, goodbye.